If your boss starts quoting, "There's no mine in innovation," grab a lawyer. Or better yet, grab a Google Drive folder and hit record. This story is revenge served cold, with a side of HR drama. Am I the a-hole for getting my boss fired after she stole my idea, then begged me to stay quiet? The first time I realized my boss wasn't just clueless but actually dangerous was at the staff Christmas party, when she told the CEO my idea for restructuring the onboarding flow and presented it as if it had popped into her head while driving through wine country. I was holding a flute of cheap champagne. I didn't interrupt. I should have. Let me rewind. I am a UX researcher, senior level, at a mid-sized SaaS company. I had been there 4 years. My boss, Mel, had only joined the company 6 months prior, replacing a genuinely good manager who'd left to start a nonprofit. Mel was the shake things up type, MBA from Stanford, all design sprints, and move fast, break things energy. She wore blazers with shoulder pads like we were in a 90s reboot of Working Girl. She also made it clear, very early on, that she saw herself as the idea person. Her favorite move was to ask us for brainstorming notes and then present a curated selection of them to leadership, minus names. I wasn't the only one she burned, but I was her favorite to burn, because I kept my head down. I was focused on a huge pain point in our platform's onboarding system, users dropping out after 2.3 steps on average. I had been quietly building a case study, running user tests, and prototyping a new hybrid guidance system I called Flow Coach. I shared it with Mel in a one-on-one in October. She nodded like she was listening, said, "Let's circle back once you have refined it." Then came December. The Christmas party. The champagne. Her big, aha pitch. Flow Coach was suddenly hers. Everyone applauded. Our CEO said it was brilliant. Mel laughed and said she'd whip up a pitch deck over the break. I went home early. My husband asked why I wasn't celebrating. I just poured wine and said, "She took it." January. I confronted Mel privately. She smiled and said, "Oh, come on, we're a team. There's no mine in innovation." She offered me a shout-out in the internal deck. I declined. So I started documenting. Every Slack ping, every email, every deck edit. I created a digital folder labeled ARC because I was preparing for a flood. Then came the all-hands in March. The CEO announced that Flow Coach would be piloted with our highest-paying clients. Mel beamed. I got a stiff nod from her. That night, I stayed late and uploaded my original flow diagrams and time-stamped usability videos to my personal Google Drive. A week later, Mel forwarded me a message from the CEO. "We had like to feature you in the Flow Coach pilot press release." She added, "Happy now?" I didn't reply. I was already job hunting. Then, 2 weeks later, I got an interview with a competitor. Higher pay, remote first, female-led. During the interview, I mentioned Flow Coach casually and said, "That was mine originally, but my manager claimed it." The hiring manager raised an eyebrow. Mel Porter. Turns out, Mel had worked there before. She had done something eerily similar, repurposed a junior designer's Figma board into a leadership demo. That designer quit. The hiring manager asked, "Would you be willing to speak to our legal team if needed?" I said yes. A week later, I handed in my resignation. Mel pulled me into a huddle room, voice low. "You're going to poison your career if you start slinging accusations." I told her I had said nothing defamatory, just the truth. She panicked. "What do you want? A reference? A letter? Equity?" I told her I wanted her to admit what she did, to the CEO, in writing. She stared at me, then said, "Fine." She never sent it. So I did. I sent the CEO a folder titled Original Flow Coach Research, Attribution Evidence. I CC'd legal. I was calm, I was thorough. 3 days later, Mel was placed on leave. A week after that, she was gone. The internal Slack was chaos. Some cheered. Some stayed silent. One PMD emmed me a heart emoji. Now, months later, I am thriving at the new company. Flow Coach is being rebuilt, properly credited, and I have got a team that actually listens. But some ex-coworkers called me a snake. One even said I torpedoed a woman leader out of ego. So, am I the a-hole for collecting receipts and getting my boss fired after she stole my work? Should I have let it go for the sake of my reputation? Okay, this story had everything. Corporate gaslighting, designer betrayal, and a woman in shoulder pads trying to pass off theft as, quote, collaboration. Iconic villain behavior. Let's start with Mel. She didn't just steal Flow Coach, she branded it like she plucked it from the inspirational ether while sipping Sauvignon Blanc. Ma'am, that wasn't a brainstorm. That was an intellectual heist. And OP? OP said nothing at the party. No dramatic call-out. No spilled tea. Just drank cheap champagne, like a scorned HBO protagonist, and went home to cry into wine. Relatable. But here's the twist. She didn't just simmer. She documented. She created a digital arc like she was prepping for the apocalypse. And spoiler alert, she was. Because when the storm came, she had timestamps, receipts, and a Google Drive folder that could burn down a LinkedIn profile. Let's also talk about the poetic justice of that competitor interview. That moment when OP name-dropped Flow Coach and the hiring manager said, "Mel Porter," I screamed. That's a prestige TV moment. That's, you come at the king, you best not miss energy. Now, some people called her a snake. Okay, first of all, snakes do not get stolen from. They hiss and strike. What OP did wasn't petty, it was protection. And maybe, just maybe, if Mel didn't want her career torpedoed, she should have stopped building boats out of other people's blueprints. And let's not ignore the silent Slack squad. They knew. That heart emoji from the PM? That's the modern-day corporate Medal of Honor. OP didn't ruin a woman's career. Mel did. OP just hit send. Not the a-hole. You didn't get her fired. Her pattern of stealing ideas and underestimating smart employees got her fired. You just provided the evidence. You built an arc. She drowned in the receipts. Biblical energy. I love it. If you have ever had a boss, pitch your idea in a meeting like they found it on a vision board. Smash that like button. And drop your best fake Slack emoji reaction in the comments. I will pick one to feature next time. Catch you in the chaos.